Central rivals go head-to-head this weekend when the Pirates face the Cubs at Wrigley.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
The pregame at 3 Eastern, first pitch at 4. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
And a very pleasant good afternoon on this Thursday. For those of you watching on television, we have broadcast the last 30 minutes of the Kentucky press conference. We'll recap what happened, although most of you by now have heard. 7 Kentucky players coming out for the NBA draft. We welcome all the rest of you on board, listening and viewing from various places. At our normal time, we'll do the same drill as always here for the next 4 hours and take your calls at 855-242-7285. Yes, I realize the Masters is going on in Augusta, Georgia. We'll keep you updated on that for those of you who are interested. Bill Battle will join us in about 30 minutes to give us his reasons for hiring Avery Johnson. He'll talk to us in a couple of minutes. Rick Carl is in Augusta. He'll give us the business aspect of the Final Four, upcoming college football season, and the Masters. Andy Staples, I believe, is in College Station. His view of the Aggies, and we'll also take your phone calls at 855-242-7285. We've been talking about the 7 Kentucky players, and certainly they're well known to all of you. And the big story is that there isn't a big story in Kentucky. We expected 7. Cal said it could have been 8, but Poitras was injured, and he's still thinking about it. But that will be certainly one of our themes of this Thursday afternoon as we begin to transition out of college basketball into whatever you would like it to be. John Calipari speaking about 30 minutes ago in Lexington.
We gathered the information. We talked to about 20 NBA teams, maybe more. We let the parents talk directly to the NBA so there's no confusion. We have about a 5-minute meeting. Maybe. I'm not convincing anyone to stay, and I'm not pushing anybody out the door. This is their choice with their family. We've done that, and now it's time for these young people to let us know what they're going to do. I think that maybe the easiest way is if you've decided to put your name in the draft, why don't you stand up? Really? All right, there you go.
Very humorous moment there when no one stood up, but certainly that is done as expected, and we will certainly move on. Karl Anthony Towns is expected to go number 1, although he has a little bit of competition from that freshman down in Durham, North Carolina. Also, Willie Cauley-Stein projected right now as a lottery pick at number 7. We'll go over all of that in more detail later on throughout the show. We'll take your phone calls at 855-242-7285. I mentioned Bill Battle will give us his view of why the school went from Greg Marshall to Avery Johnson. Look forward to visiting with him and a little more football conversation as we get a little closer. Some reaction to what Steve Spurrier said here at the Open yesterday. That made news around the country. And, of course, your phone calls. Let's get underway. Jumbo starts us off in Tuscaloosa. Good afternoon, Jumbo.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call, Paul.
Thank you.
Hey, I got 2 things for you. First of all, I want to make a comment about Rick out in Los Angeles. It seems like every time that you and him talk, it's a history lesson in sports. And this guy is one of the best callers I've ever heard. I respect the heck out of him. And, Rick, if you ever come to Tuscaloosa, look me up, and I'll take you to Dreamland and Bryant-Denny Stadium, and I'll treat you to the town. But going back to the Kentucky thing, thank you for letting me say it, Paul. Going back to the Kentucky thing, what does this do for Kentucky? And we all know that it's going to hurt them next year, but with Cal being the recruiter, do you think he's going to be able to reload?
Well, he already has commitments from 3 top 50 players, the number 3 player, the number 13 player, and the number 42 player. Recruiting is not done. That's a good recruiting class for most people. I mean, it's always hard to predict. I mean, it's not a perfect science. I mean, we found that out, was it 3 years ago when Cal didn't make the NCAA tournament. But I sincerely doubt Kentucky basketball is going anywhere. And if you had to make a aimless prediction today, I'd say they're in the Final Four next year.
Oh, okay. I was just fixing to ask you, do you think they could repeat, but
Yeah,
do what they did?
absolutely.
Okay,
I don't think they'll have a perfect record, and I'm not sure they'll want to have a perfect record. But I think Kentucky, the projections have Kentucky, North Carolina, some of the usual suspects already projected for next year. But it's hard to project now. You don't even know all the recruits coming in. Although at Kentucky, you know enough. Philip is in Kentucky. Hey, Philip. Good afternoon.
Paul, good to talk to you. Always.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I got a little lost in Bill Battle's interview. I kind of thought he was kind of questioning maybe some of the moves he made. I just wanted to briefly say that and then tell you about the way you handled the press conference of Kentucky.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. On the press conference, Paul, I just want to commend you for your professionalism. I thought it was really fantastic. A lot of media personnel probably would have maybe slurred, downgraded Coach Cal, maybe called the players selfish. But you did not do that, and I really appreciate that because let's be honest, those guys did not come because they wanted to stay in college for 4 years. How many sports athletes really want to be in college for 4 years unless you're Rudy Rudiger?
Yeah, let me. I'll be happy to offer you my thoughts on that, and I appreciate what you said. I mean, what I did in that role, for those of you who were not with us. I mean, to me, that is a news event. I know many of my colleagues, far more famous and highly and better paid than I am, feel like when they're on camera they have to give a strong opinion one way or the other. I don't really, even though I'm known for that, I feel like when I'm doing something like that, the most important thing is the event. And to me, that was a great event for Kentucky. You had 7 players who were hoping to follow their dreams of playing in the NBA. And I thought Cal handled the moment very well, and I thought the players did equally.
I appreciate that, Paul, and that's what I really appreciate about you because it was about Kentucky. It was about the players. You didn't put your 2 cents in, and you could very easily have done that. And I thought the press conference went very well. The players were honest. I thought they were well-mannered. I thought they really cared about what they were doing. That was their dream to go to the NBA. Who could hold that against any player wanting to do that? Every coach, like you said, would like to have that.
No, and that's what. Listen, Cal turned that program around when we had when the NBA lottery when the NBA draft came back. Was it either 2010 or 11? I've lost track of which year it was. And so many Kentucky players came out. That was a beacon. That was a flare that, hey, this is the school to come to, and it's been like that ever since.
Yeah, and too, Paul, okay, maybe that was a recruiting ploy, but come on, isn't that what it's about? You try to get the best
absolutely.
players.
And by the way, it's not up to me to tell those young men what to do. It's up to their coach and their parents. Lance is next in Tennessee. Lance?
It don't matter what kind of information you got about Kentucky, Paul. You don't know nothing about basketball. I talked you out all year, and when I call you, want to act like you're asleep. Wake up and go to sleep, Paul. Let me tell you something, buddy. You know what makes me mad about Kentucky? Just answer me this one question, honest, Paul. Do you think John Calipari will ever have another team as talented as the one he just choked with?
I refuse to answer that question in terms of the way it was phrased. If you ask me a legitimate question, I'll answer it. Do I think he'll have a team that's talented? No. Do I think he'll win a national championship at Kentucky? Yes.
When are they going to win one, Paul? They should have won it this year. He won't ever have a team more talented than that. And he chokes. He's a choke artist coach. And you want to get on me all the time? Let me tell you something. I thought Jumbo was a War Eagle fan. You had the whole state of Alabama and Kentucky all over me. I battled y'all for 3 months, and you still want to treat me like a punk. Let me tell you something, Paul.
Hey, Lance, slow down. Lance, slow down there, buddy. If you want to have a conversation, or we'll have a conversation. If you want to make a speech, find another show. I haven't treated you like a punk. You walked in here 3 months ago running your mouth, talking trash, acting like you knew everything. Yes, it turned out that Duke won the national championship. I have great respect for Duke. I have great respect for Mike Krzyzewski. But when we listen to a punk like you, it almost makes me, a Krzyzewski fan, turn against him. All you do is run your mouth. All you do is what was that?
I didn't run my mouth, Paul. I told
That's
you.
all you do. You cannot talk you cannot talk like a human being, Lance. You have to you regurgitate. You're like a volcano. I mean, if you want to have a conversation, we'll have a conversation. But if you want to act like a punk, go somewhere else, okay?
I don't sound like a punk, Paul. I just want to say this. I told you I came in, and you kept reminding me that Duke got beat in the first round. And I told you it was because they didn't have a true point guard. Well, it's awful funny to me the MVP of the championship this year was a point guard. That ain't running your mouth. That's vision.
No, there's a way to have a conversation, Lance. There's a way to talk, and there's a way not to talk. You don't know how to talk. You know how to scream. You know how to rant.
Just because
I mean, why don't you learn to talk in a normal voice as opposed to like a dishwasher running over with garbage spewing out?
Paul, I don't mean to get like this. My passion and my fire is so deep for sports, man. This is not a fake. I can't help it, man. You get me so fired up. This show drives me nuts. I stay up to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because a Kentucky fan somewhere here saying stuff that don't even make sense. Just like the last time yesterday, y'all were saying, nobody wants to get on Coach K. I guarantee you Coach K didn't make the Final Four this year. You would have heard from me, and if he would have lost in the championship, that means he would have had a losing record. You would have heard from me, Paul. I'm not one of these I told you so, because I remember what you said a long time ago. Say little when you're right. Say little when you're wrong, and say a lot less when you're right. I don't want to be I told you so, but I think I've got a little bit more respect than you want to fall asleep on my calls, man. When I was the only person on your show.
Lance, first of all, you're not the only person in America that thought Duke was going to win the national championship. Okay, they were a number 1 seed, Lance. Okay. They were a number 1 seed. Kentucky was a prohibitive favorite. I grant you that. But, I mean, you didn't just discover something, okay? You're just a fan in backwoods Tennessee who thinks that you know everything because you predicted Kentucky to go down and Duke to win, okay? Big deal.
Did you know? Paul, you're the one that said Kentucky's second team could win this tournament. You said, I wonder how high Kentucky's second team.
Well, I thought that. Have you ever been wrong in your life, Lance? Have you ever made a mistake? Have you ever given an opinion? Why don't you come here one day and sit here and talk for 4 hours, and we'll see if you get something wrong, okay?
Oh, it ain't about being right or wrong. I'm just talking about respect. I got it right. All I was trying to do, you Kentucky fans keep coming over here questioning my character, man. Like, you feel sorry for my wife. What are you talking about, man? All they want to do is question my character. Ain't nobody ever came on here and debated what I've said about sports. Ain't nobody ever, besides Rick in L.A.
And by the way, why would you possibly be up till 2 o'clock in the morning?
Because, man, I get wound up over sports, man. I know you think it ain't world peace, but it's my peace, man. I go to work at 5:30 anyway. I get tired of people questioning my character on the show because they don't know me, man. How many single dads you know walk into a courtroom fighting over custody for an 11-month-old baby and comes out with full custody? How many dads you know that'll stay by a child and raise her on her own for 10 years and never run without no child support? Huh? How many dads you know work 6 days a week in a fast food restaurant just to be able to put food on the table, Paul? And y'all want to come in and question my character? Man, that ain't right. You don't know me. You still don't know me. All I want to do is talk about sports. But all your fans want to come in here and talk about more on this, more on that. They want to get on the women callers.
Lance, if you ever, first of all, Lance, I have great admiration for anyone who would do what you just got through saying that you do. The problem is that you. I have respect for that. To me, anybody should do it. I did.
Well,
no, not anybody. I mean, the problem with you, I don't have any issue with your life, what you do for your children, where you work, how hard you work. My only issue with you is that you never stop talking when you call in the radio show or television show or whatever kind of show, freak show this has become. But when you call in, if you would just call and talk, we would understand you. But you don't do that.
I try to talk, Paul, but sometimes, man.
Have you ever had, Lance? Have you ever had? Have you ever been to a doctor? Have you ever had your blood pressure taken?
My blood pressure? No,
Yeah,
sir,
I think you need to go to a physician because I'm concerned you're going to stroke one day in the middle of a phone call, and I don't want to be responsible for that. I don't want to have to think about your children not having a father because you called in this show and couldn't handle yourself.
Hey, Paul, that's a little bit over the top, man. This is all entertainment, baby. I'm just trying to have fun with you, man. You don't mind if some of your Alabama people want to call in and just talk about nothing and run their mouth. I got points behind my talk, man. I mean, I ain't trying to say I'm a know-it-all. I'll be wrong when I want to be right.
Lance, you are a know-it-all. That's what we're joking about here. That's why we fell asleep yesterday during your call.
Because I talked you and the SEC Nation out. I mean, you got an ego problem. You can't stand up being number one, Paul. You might be the king of football, but I'm the king of basketball, and you remember that, son.
I tried to get my point across to Lance. Let's all cheer for Lance's humanity, what he does for his kids, what he does for the world, and for world peace. We'll take a short break. We'll exhale, then we'll inhale, and then we'll forget that Lance called.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
The big swagoo, the first reaction to the tete-a-tete with Lance. What's up, man?
P-Town, come on, man. Y'all killing me today, bro. Are killing me. You and Lance just had a full-blown argument on national television. Y'all went from basketball to custody hearings to working at a fast food chain, and then you tried to school him and give him knowledge. I broke out into a sweat laughing, bro. I had to text John. I said, John, I can't believe this happening right now.
Now, Swagoo, I mean, you know me better than most. I mean, he definitely played on my emotions when he gave me the sob story, didn't he?
Brother, that's one of them conversations where you leave and you like, I don't know what just happened. I don't know how it escalated so quick into personal lives talking about basketball. It was weird, man. And I'm sitting here next to my wife and she is dying laughing, bro. It was crazy. It was what the Finebaum show is really all about.
Yeah, and quite frankly, it's not the show that I really want to do any longer, although I will if I have to.
Paul, you gave some life advice though, man. That's all you asked for, bro. You were respectful to your caller. You told him what you thought. You actually said, I'm proud of the fact that you take care of I think it was his daughter.
Yeah.
He works hard. He went to custody hearings. So, dude, I'm not laughing at Lance. I'm just laughing at how quick the conversation escalated from being about sports on this sports talk show into taking care of kids and fighting in custody hearings. And P-Town, you just showed you're a jack of all trades, bro. You gave sound advice, and it was classic television is what it was. And I still have tears streaming down my face.
Well, Marcus, I appreciate that. I mean, I am very sympathetic, and you know me, to callers, and particularly those with great passion. And we both have met callers along the way that want to meet you. And I mean, he definitely got to me there, and I know he got to you as someone who has tried to counsel young people. But man, can you imagine though? Not to be a voyeur, but I've never wanted to go to anyone else's custody hearings. But can you imagine that poor judge in Tennessee listening to this case?
Oh man, you don't just start banging the gavel because I was so in. Listen, when I'm looking at you guys talk, I was locked into the television, and I said, what is happening right now? And he had some great points about basketball. I think Lance has always made great points about basketball, but he crowned himself the basketball expert. You stick to SEC Nation. It was just a lot going on, man. But
well, you know what happened? I don't know if you saw yesterday. I realize you're a busy man, but he called in yesterday or one day this week to brag about Duke winning, and the camera, for those who were listening and didn't see it, the next shot was of me sleeping on the set, and then we went into the control room and John and Mark were sleeping, and he obviously got very upset by that.
Yeah, it struck a nerve. It struck a nerve, just like today did, I think. But, you know, when it's all said and done, you need those type of fans out there like that. You need guys like that that's fired up about how they feel about the teams that they root for and how they watch and view the game. And it was actually, I heard the first call when I may have been in studio with you when he talked about Kentucky would lose, and I was right on that train with you about I thought Kentucky was the best team and I thought they would win the national championship. But it's basketball, and we've had that conversation a bunch about Kentucky. People start talking about them being able to beat pro teams. In basketball, it's runs and it's things that happen throughout the course of a game, which helps teams take care of business. But I think Lance, it's kind of like an underlining, I'm bragging about being right about this, but he made the claim that he didn't want anybody to feel like he was bragging or showing off. But
you know what he did, though, and he quoted something I said, but he obviously didn't subscribe to it. And we both are called upon to make predictions every week, and I don't like to, but when you make a prediction on a program that's seen or heard by many, many people, you don't have to call up every day and tell everyone what you said. We know.
Yeah, man. And Paul, we have a great job, but if sports was predictable and everybody knew who would win every game, me and you wouldn't have a job. It would be nothing to talk about. And I think each individual, they base that decision off what they see and their experience from watching sports. I've been around a lot of basketball and football, and I can sit here today, as we know the national championship is over. But if it was 2 weeks ago, I would have still said the same thing. I would have said Kentucky was going to win the national championship based off what I know about basketball and what I see. That doesn't make me right every time, but it's an educated opinion is what we give people, and we do study. We do put a lot of time in trying to figure out who has the best chance of winning or who has the best chance of performing well when you start talking about individual players. But, when fans are right, they have to take it to 10.
Yeah.
Because that gives them, credibility about what they were saying. And I don't fault Lance for that. He should feel good about being able to say Duke would win the national championship and Kentucky would be out. But that's a conversation for us that falls on deaf ears because we do this 100% of the time.
I'll close by this because we're about to talk to Bill Battle. I still think Alabama's going to win last year's national championship, don't you?
Absolutely. Peace out. Good talking to you.
Hey, really great to hear from you. Best to your wife and family, and hope to see you soon.
All right, see you soon, brother.
You got it. The Big Swagoo joining us on this Thursday afternoon.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We're now joined by the athletic director at Alabama, Bill Battle. And, Bill, thank you very much for the time. And I can imagine today you were a little more relaxed than you have been for the last couple of weeks.
It's been a little tough few weeks and not much sleep going on, but I got a little bit last night. Yeah, it was a lot better.
Well, great to have you on, and I want to go back 4 or 5 weeks. At the SEC tournament, there seemed to be a feeling among most, whether that's accurate or not, it was a feeling that Coach Grant was going to survive. Discuss, if you don't mind, what happened that week, if anything, and how did you make the decision that you needed to change the head basketball coach?
Back earlier in the season, Anthony and I have been talking about this for the last couple of years, I guess. We went through some things last year, and I thought we were better. We were better, I think. We started out pretty good. We had a really tough January. We knew January was going to be tough. Playing Kentucky twice and Florida, and so I thought that if we could get out of January at 4-4 in the league, and then I thought we would have a good chance for a 20-win season and a 10-8 SEC record and a shot at the NCAA, and that looked doable at that point. I actually talked to Anthony a couple of times during the toward the after that point and said, "Look, let's go ahead and announce that you're going to come back." And he said, "Look, let's let it play out. We got a lot of basketball left to go, and let's let it play out." So as it played out,
excuse me, Bill. Did you suggest to him, or did he suggest to you to announce that he was coming back?
no, I said let's.
Oh, okay.
And he said, "Look, and Anthony is one of the greatest guys I've ever been around. He's solid as a rock, and I think he's a really good coach. And I wanted it to work. I wanted every way that it could to work. And then the way it played out, we got people hurt. We lost close games. It was, the fan base got more negative and more negative. And at some point, when the negativity is as great as it is, you can't recruit. And if you can't recruit, you're not going to win anyway, and it becomes a matter of time. And at the end, that's kind of where I felt like we were, and I think Anthony agreed with that.
So I'll ask you this one more question, then move on to Coach Johnson. But at one point, you're telling us that you were prepared, though, to announce that he would be back. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And he didn't want that, or I'm just
he just said, "Look, you got to do what's best for the University of Alabama, and we got to win, and I want to, I think we can, and I like this team, and
so you just changed your mind though after when you did make that announcement." You sensed the negativity, and then, I'm sure that must have been particularly difficult on you, having made the decision to retain him and then sensing things were turning rather dramatically in the other direction.
Well, as we let it play out, I wanted to stop the negativity one way or the other, if I could do that. And I felt like if I said something early, then the people that were negative were going to stay negative, but there were a lot of people that really think a lot of Anthony and think a lot of the program. So but as as things happened the way they happened, the negativity grew, and it just got to be a really tough situation to turn around.
Okay, so then the decision was made. I just want to make sure we understand each other. Then, at this point in time, Bill, were you beginning to think about a short list as the season was winding down?
Well, we always have a short list. You never know when a coach is going to leave, and so you always try to be prepared in every sport to have candidates that that you might go to if you have to, whether you make the change or whether the coach decides to make the change. So our people are pretty good about that around here, and so we had some we think about that again in all sports, and we did have a list that we would go to, and obviously the closer it got, the more we started to vet that list, or at least research that list.
It was very public that you went to see Greg Marshall, and I realize you have a coach, and sometimes it's awkward to go back, but that played out for a very long time. I sense that you felt like there was a reasonable chance that would come to fruition.
I did. I didn't. It certainly wasn't a slam dunk. I knew he was tied to Wichita. I felt like that. If I had gotten the word that he had one more move left in him, I felt like he wanted to play in the. I felt like he might want to play as a coach in a Power 5 conference with autonomy going the way it is. I believe that the landscape will change, and the Power 5 conferences will separate more from some of the other conferences, and I believe he's a competitor, and he's a great coach and a great family guy, great person. I got to know him a little bit and think the world of him, but I believe, and timing is the key to everything. His son was a senior in high school and graduating and going to be gone. His daughter was a ninth grader, and it's never a good time for a daughter to leave, but it's better in the ninth grade than it is the 10th, 11th, or 12th, and so I felt like there was at least a 50-50 chance of getting him, and I thought we could. I did feel like we had a good chance to get him.
Your opening comment yesterday drew quite a few laughs, although I'm not sure you were laughing. You said if Nick Saban decided to walk out, you were done. Do you have a short list if he does that? Or are you just walking out?
After this week, I think I'm walking out.
And not to beat that horse to death, but do you have any sense of Coach Saban's future?
If anybody wants to keep me around, they better help me keep Coach Saban around. That's all I got to say.
Well, you've been pretty kind to him with contract extensions. I think you've done your part. Wouldn't you agree?
I sure hope so. I think we sure want to keep him, and he's done a great job for us, and we have let him know we appreciate him.
Well, I think most of the fan base would concur, and I don't blame you, Bill. That would be I'm sure you've asked him. Just give me a heads up, and I'm suddenly going to find something else to do with my life. Bill, congratulations, and deeply appreciate your time, and I think the reaction has been very good, and I'm sure you're ready to move on to something else.
Absolutely.
Well, best wishes on that, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We're joined now by Mark Stein, the outstanding ESPN NBA reporter, recently writing about the prospects of Billy Donovan leaving the University of Florida to go to the NBA. Mark, very appreciative of your time, and where do you think he is? I know he's given mixed signals in Gainesville, but are you still hearing much on that?
Yeah, I think the expectation, certainly in NBA circles, is that he's ready to jump. Now, whether he will, I think that depends on the proverbial right offer. Now, Orlando, we all remember, he agreed to coach the Magic and then turned around and walked away. Would the Magic make another run at him? I get the sense that he will at least be on their list at some level. I don't know that he's their number one target yet. They're still kind of formulating exactly where they want to go with their search, and I think the Magic, it'll probably be a big search, a widespread search, where they look at 7 to 10 different guys and make the evaluation. But certainly Billy Donovan still has fans in the Magic organization. Denver's another team where I think Billy Donovan's name, he will be on their list. And if there are other openings, the fact that it's out there that he's willing to consider this, that will get him in the running, so to speak, or get him on the radar of various teams. But again, he's another guy who's been in one place for a long time, has a great thing going, just had his contract extended so he can stay another year if he wants to. I think it would have to be a very good offer. But Rick Pitino is a far bigger Billy Donovan authority than me, and we heard him on Mike and Mike recently saying that he fully expects Billy Donovan to coach in the NBA someday. So I really think it's a matter of when, not if. Does that mean this offseason? It'll depend on the offers he gets.
Certainly, he grew up in the East. He played, obviously, for Rick at Providence. Not that any of that really matters at this point in his life. But do you think, having put Orlando through that a couple of years ago, has any negative effect? Or if you're Orlando, you really don't care. You just need a big-time coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to give anybody some level of pause, but he's seen as an NBA guy. He's obviously a very good coach. He has a high reputation. Minnesota badly wanted Billy Donovan this time last year, and Billy Donovan was also pursued by the Cavs. The Cavaliers went after Calipari. They went after Billy Donovan. They went after Izzo. I mean, those were the kind of coaches Dan Gilbert was targeting before he hired David Blatt away from a perennial power in Israel, one of the best teams in Europe. So that was the direction Cleveland has gone. And Dan Gilbert, we've seen that in multiple searches. Dan Gilbert has gone after Izzo multiple times. Dan Gilbert likes the idea of hiring a big-name college coach away and bringing him to the NBA. Not every team has the same sentiment, but Billy's really well regarded in NBA circles, and I can't see the whole Orlando thing 7-8 years ago now really getting in teams' way. He's going to get NBA offers. It's just inevitable at this point.
On the subject of college coaches, several years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, all of us were shocked. Maybe you weren't, but I was, when Brad Stevens left Butler to go to Boston. But it seems like that has worked out. I'm not sure that's a template, but discuss that and where the transition is, obviously depending on who the coaches are. Everyone's not Izzo, Cal, or Billy Donovan, but has that door a little wider open than it used to be?
I mean, Brad Stevens couldn't be doing better with all the curveballs that have been thrown at him in Boston. I mean, he's got that team competing for a playoff spot. After they traded their two best players, nobody expected that. I think Brad Stevens, in his first couple of years with the Celtics, has exceeded all expectations. He's been better than advertised, if that's possible. He just looks like a coaching natural in this league and seems to really enjoy it. I can't say that I knew him well at all before he made the jump, but the Boston Celtics have been ecstatic with his work. I mean, he's the biggest star they have in Boston right now. So it was funny. I think Pitino said in that Mike interview that for the younger guys, maybe it's easier to make the jump than guys who are in Rick's age bracket or Izzo at this point. But, I mean, we usually don't see younger coaches who have the kind of stature of a Billy Donovan or a Brad Stevens. And, I mean, Stevens has just done a remarkable amount in a short time, both in college and in the pros, and the way they talk about him in Boston now. I mean, he's an untouchable. I mean, he really is their franchise player, which is a pretty amazing thing in just a short span of time.
Amazing stuff. Mark Stein from ESPN.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Robin is in Kentucky, and you're next. How are you, Robin?
Hi, Paul. How are you today?
Okay.
I just wanted to comment that I really have enjoyed your show. I've called in about 3 times, and I wanted to tell you I'm a stage 4 brain cancer person right now, and your show has really, it might sound silly to you, but it's really helped me. I've enjoyed it every day when I come home, whether it's good or bad or whether I agree or not with the people calling. It's always brought me a lot of enjoyment, and I have really appreciated it, and I really appreciate these young men that played at UK. I was really sorry to see it end. I have to admit I cried when they got beat, but I'm very proud of what they have accomplished, and I pray for all their futures that they all do really well. So,
well, Robin, let me say this. Sometimes you sit here and you really you don't stop and think about anything other than what's in front of us. But I appreciate what you said, and obviously be well and fight hard, and hopefully.
I have a new grandbaby, and he's my little March Madness baby. So. But I just want you to know, so many people call, and I know it takes all kinds to make a talk show, but I want you to know that you are appreciated in the SEC, and UK fans love you, and we had a great season, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep watching every afternoon, and come home from chemo, and I turn you on at 3 o'clock, and don't turn you off till 7. So. Well,
that means a great deal. Appreciate it, and enjoy that grandbaby, and we'll be thinking of you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thanks, Robin.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what a great call. You do forget sometimes about what's going on out in the real world, and you can get into an argument with a Lance like we do earlier, but a call from Robin really brings it home.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
One and only Andy Staples from Sports Illustrated, who finds himself today in Texas. Andy, welcome to our program from College Station, Texas, the home of Texas A&M. Normally when I see you, you're knocking on the door of a barbecue joint or something like that. I can only imagine what you're doing in College Station today.
This is a fine place to look for barbecue. I was going to say, I don't know if I can follow up on bourbon just now, but I think you can just call me barbecue. I think that'd be good. If I was one of your regular callers, that'd probably be my handle.
Yeah, we had Tony Barnhart on yesterday. As you well know, he is Mr. College Football. You are Mr. Barbecue. Well, I trust you found some good places to eat out there. We all have in our journeys. But what is the state of mind of Texas A&M right now in relation to the upcoming football season? Last year did not go very well.
I think they're pretty happy right now. I think they kind of enjoy the laying in the weeds aspect of things because there was a lot of attention focused on this program after Johnny Manziel's Heisman, and then last year it was how do you replace Johnny Manziel. Now, people probably aren't expecting much out of them, but if you look at the way they've recruited, and then you look at the fact that they've got John Chavis in as the defensive coordinator, you think things are probably going to get better. Kyle Allen is comfortable as a quarterback, and then you add that Chavis defense, which one of the reasons they hired him is because they couldn't do anything against LSU's defense, and they thought, okay, here's a guy who can come in. We can recruit those good defensive ends and corners who can play man that he likes. We can give him what he needs, and then maybe there will be a defense that kind of matches the offense. If they ever get that going here, they're going to have a pretty good program. But if they can't get that defense turned around, then you got a problem.
Yeah, you do, and certainly Chavis, after long stints at Tennessee and most recently in Baton Rouge, he seems like the right person, but how long does it take?
I don't know. If you talk to Kevin Sumlin year after year in terms of recruiting, he'd say, we're not quite there yet, we're not quite there yet, we don't have the same kind of talent that other SEC schools have. Well, this is their fourth season with this staff. They've probably got as close as they're going to get to that kind of talent. And you look, Myles Garrett is one of the best pass rushers in the country. I think any other team would trade for him if they could get him. They've got young defensive players who I think would start on a lot of the other SEC West teams. So talent-wise, I think they're pretty close. Offensive skill-wise, they're great. They're in very good shape. Offensive line-wise, maybe not as good as they were a couple years ago, but still pretty good. So it really comes down to, can you stop anybody? Because if they can stop people, they're going to score points, and they're going to be a contender. If they can't, look, some $4 million coach in the SEC West is going to finish 7th. I don't know who it is. It's going to be somebody who's had some pretty good seasons. If you can't stop anybody, you're in danger of being that guy if you're Kevin Sumlin.
Andy, we're now finally into football season after basketball is over, and it's one thing to predict the season, although it's a little long off. But in terms of projections, and I realize it's early, but where are you in the West right now in terms of coming out of it all? Is it Alabama, Auburn, or is it a surprise?
I think it should be one of Alabama, Auburn, or Ole Miss, because we know Alabama and Ole Miss are going to have great defenses. We don't really know about their offense. We know Auburn is going to have a pretty good offense, maybe even better with Jeremy Johnson at quarterback than it was with Nick Marshall at quarterback, and they've got Will Muschamp running the defense, which they think will make it better. So I would think it's one of those three, but I don't know. I was looking at the schedule the other day, and in one of these years where you've only got one open date per team, it almost comes down to where's your open date, who do you play, where do you play them. It's not necessarily who's the best team. Because if I say who's the best team, it's probably Alabama, just because of that front seven they have on defense that might be the best in the country. And then if they do figure out offensively what they want to do, if it's Jacob Coker and he's comfortable, and they've got Derrick Henry, the line's always going to be good there. I think they'd be the best team, but circumstantially, can they win it? Because a lot of it will come down to who do you play, when do you play them.
And in case anyone has forgotten, they play Auburn last. That was not a good visit.
They're doing that this year? Last?
They're going to do it again.
They move that game?
That would be a good game to get out of the way in the spring, though, wouldn't it?
I love this talk of spring games against other teams for charity. I would love it. I think, a lot of the problem now is coaches don't want to risk any injury. They don't want to mess with depth. I was at Florida's Pro Day earlier this week, and Jim McElwain is standing there as 3 future NFL offensive linemen are working out, and he's thinking, man, it'd be nice if I had those guys in spring practice, because he's got like 6 healthy scholarship offensive linemen right now. You can't run a spring game. You're going to run some half line drills, basically. So it'd be nice if you could bring in another team, maybe give the kitty to charity. I think that'd be pretty cool.
You mentioned McElwain and certainly, I'm hearing. I haven't been there like you have, like you live there. But what's your expectations of the Gators, and take it a step further in terms of the entire SEC East?
Well, with Florida, I think it's a case where there's enough left on defense that they should be able to be in every game because they are limiting the other team's ability to score. Can Florida score? That's another question. He's inheriting not much on the offensive line because they had some pretty good ones just leave. Quarterback situation, they don't know. Is it going to be Will Grier or Treon Harris? Not sure yet. They've got some pretty good running backs, it looks like, but we don't know how that offense is going to be. I mean, think about it. Florida hasn't had a good receiver really since Riley Cooper. That's a long, long time. And you wonder, is it kind of a chicken-egg argument? Have they not had good receivers? Have they not recruited that position well? Or is it they just haven't had the quarterback to get them the ball? So they've got to get that figured out. But that defense is going to keep them in enough games that I think they could probably be as good or maybe a little bit better than last season. But if you're thinking they're going to go win the East in the first season, that's asking a lot. I think probably you would have to favor Georgia or Tennessee in the East. And Georgia, they're going to bring some experience on defense if they pick the right quarterback. And I guess it looks like Ramsey's ahead in that race. They bring back most of the line. They've got all those good backs. That's a lot. And then Tennessee is ascendant. Oh, and by the way, there's Missouri that's won 2 consecutive East titles, has an assembly line of defensive line talent. So I will amend that and say Georgia, Tennessee, or Missouri. And I probably should pick Missouri because we always pick against them, and they just keep on winning.
Finally, Andy, there was some stories coming out earlier in the week about conference championship deregulation. I'm not sure I'm smart enough to explain it. It's about maybe setting your conference up for the best possible move or position for the college football playoff. For those of us who sat in the back of a class and finished at the bottom of the class, what does it mean?
I'm not sure I'm any better than you on this, but basically the NCAA, at the behest of the Big 12 and the ACC, may be just dropping the rules for what it takes to have a conference championship game. The rules right now are you have to have at least 12 teams. They have to be split into 2 divisions. So you take away those rules, you can go divisionless. You could have 3 divisions. You could have 10 teams like the Big 12. If the Big 12 wanted to do a championship with 10 teams, they would be able to. The question I get is, wouldn't it be better if everybody went divisionless? I don't know if that's necessarily the case because I think divisions are helpful in some case. Like the Florida-Tennessee rivalry in the 90s, that existed because they got put in the SEC East together. They weren't teams that traditionally played one another, even though they were in the same league. They didn't play each other every year. And that turned into a great rivalry for about 10 years. And I think you look at the West, you've got essentially everybody's a rival because that league is so tightly packed in terms of talent. Every game means something. And I think you look up in the Big Ten, I think that Big Ten East, because there are some good teams there, it's going to create a bigger rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan State. So that's a good part of it. The bad part of it is you have some situations where teams don't play each other very much. I mean, LSU and Georgia hardly ever see each other. In the ACC, it's crazy. NC State and Duke don't play every year. They're 20 miles apart. And I think one of the things the ACC wanted to do was try to rectify that situation. I had been told the thought was to go divisionless and then take the 2 top teams and play them in the championship game. Dennis Dodd reported that maybe it's 3 divisions. And I think if you go 3 divisions in the ACC, the only way you can really do that is you add a 15th football program, which I think would make them happy in their other sports because it would give them 16 because they also have Notre Dame in the other sports. So I don't know if that's the case. I don't want to start any realignment rumors up again because Lord knows those are no fun to cover. But, I'm fine with deregulating. I don't think there's anything special about the number 12 or 2 divisions. In fact, I did a story last year about how the rule was created. It was created by a Division II conference, and originally it was going to be 14 teams, but then they had some buddies in another conference, and they said, hey, we only have 12 teams. Can you rewrite that rule so it says 12? And they said, sure. Cross out 14, put 12. So the rule is not sacred. It's fine if it goes, and I'm fine with do whatever you want, whatever you feel is best for your conference, because I think that's part of what makes college football interesting. Everybody's not the same. There are people who say, well, everybody should play a conference championship game. Not if they don't want to. I think it's fun to have some differences, and gives us something to talk about.
Andy Staples, just as interesting in College Station as he is in Gainesville or anywhere else for that matter. Great to talk to you, Andy. Talk soon.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for listening to the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast. Tune into the Paul Finebaum Show every day from 3 to 7 Eastern on the SEC Network or on the ESPN Radio app.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
The new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
It's one baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals.
That one is gone.
The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.